Hey, this is Cassie, and you're watching Blue Blood Sports TV.
Shout out to Blue Blood Sports TV.
You're watching Blue Blood Sports TV.
Shout outs to Blue Blood Sports TV.
You're watching Blue Blood Sports TV. Hola, habla Cindy, está viendo Deportes TV.
What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So pound for pound king, WBO, undefeated welterweight champion of the world, Terence Bud Crawford, and his trainer, Bull Mac, Brian McIntyre, did an interview with Joe Rogan. It's about an hour and a half long. Great interview. He talked about, of course, the fight that the world wants to see between himself and undefeated IBF superstar, welterweight champion, pound for pound boxer, ERROL the Truth Spence Jr. That's the fight the world wants to see. At one point, it was the second biggest fight in the sport of boxing. Number one was undefeated WBC American heavyweight champion Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder, and then undefeated former British unified heavyweight champion of the world, Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua has since lost his titles, obviously June 1st, to Andy Ruiz, Mexican unified heavyweight champion, and they're heading into a rematch, but that fight lost its luster, and now everybody wants to see Bud Crawford versus the Truth, Errol Spence. And Terence Crawford talked about it, in which he had this to say. He said that he blames Top Rank. He blames PBC. He blames the promoter and their ego and their rivalry. He says that the fight is definitely going to happen. He says, but the holdup is definitely Top Rank. It's definitely PBC. It's the egos, the promoters. You know, nobody wants to budge. He says, but you know, he's definitely looking to face Errol Spence Jr. He says that he believes that Errol Spence needs him more than he needs Errol Spence. He says, I'll be in the Hall of Fame, you know, with or without Errol Spence, just off of my past accomplishments. He says that Errol Spence needs me more than I need him. He says, but the fight definitely needs to happen for the sport of boxing, and I definitely look forward to having this fight happen. I definitely want the fight. He says Errol Spence definitely wants the fight. I have to disagree with Terence when he says that he doesn't need Errol Spence, and I'm disagreeing to a fault, right? Because does he need Errol Spence to get into the Hall of Fame and be recognized as one of the greatest boxers in the history of sport of boxing? Absolutely not. Because of the accomplishments, like he said, he already accomplished. But to put himself in a higher view, the upper echelons of the Hall of Fame fighters, he needs Errol Spence. He needs that rival. Sugar Ray Leonard needed Thomas Hitman Hearns and Marvin Hagler and Roberto Duran, right? Floyd Mayweather needed Oscar De La Hoya, Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao, Shane Mosley, early in his career, Gennaro Hernandez, Diego Corrales, right? He needed those guys, right? Muhammad Ali needed Joe Frazier. Joe Frazier needed Muhammad Ali, as he both needed George Foreman. George Foreman needed Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier. And then he had a second career in which he beat Michael Moore and became the oldest man to win a title in the sport of boxing, right? So Terence Crawford, I understand what he's saying as far as his accomplishments, place him in the Hall of Fame, but you still need those rivals. You still need them, right? Without Sugar Ray Leonard facing Thomas Hitman Hearns and Roberto Duran, No Mas is going down in history. History. Everybody remembers that fight. People don't even remember the rematch. They remember the No Mas fight. They remember the rematch simply off of the No Mas. They don't remember how the rematch played out outside of him saying No Mas. Roberto Duran, that is. Okay? Muhammad Ali with Joe Frazier, the first fight, getting dropped, having to come back, Thriller in Manila, all types of stuff, right? George Foreman, the Rumble in the Jungle. So they needed each other to elevate one another. So on Terence Crawford's current resume, you have guys like Yuriorkis Gamboa, you have guys like Victor Postile, you have Jeff Horn, right? But you don't have that signature, notable fighter on your resume. You understand? Floyd Mayweather, you point to his resume, the first thing you think of is Oscar De La Hoya and Manny Pacquiao. When you think of Sugar Ray Leonard, the first thing you think of is Thomas Hearns, Hagler, and Duran. Vice versa. When you look at Thomas Hearns' resume, you think of that fight with Sugar Ray Leonard and that fight, that 2-3 round fight he had with Marvin Hagler. You understand? You look at Roberto Duran, you obviously remember the first fight with Ray Leonard. He upset Ray Leonard, and then the No Mas fight. So they need one another. So when he says he doesn't need Errol Spence, I totally disagree. Does he need Errol Spence to be in the Hall of Fame? No. Does he need Errol Spence for his legacy? Absolutely. 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 Okay? So, you know, it's just like Sweet Pea Pernell Whitaker. One of the greatest to ever do it. But when you mention Sweet Pea Pernell Whitaker, right, you don't think about that signature win, that signature person. Why? Because he was robbed in the fight with Oscar De La Hoya and Chavez. He was robbed in those fights. He won both those fights. Now, should he have won both those fights and those guys turned out who they turned out to be? Those are his signature wins. But he lost both those fights. Now, he did step in the ring with him, but everybody know he was robbed of those fights, and so nobody talks about it because they know he ultimately won, so it's a controversy, so it's forgotten. You understand? So with that said, when you look at Terence Crawford, he needs Errol Spence. See, because Errol Spence has that historic fight going over to the UK and beating Kell Brook. That was historic, right? Errol Spence has the Mikey Garcia on his resume. Because Mikey Garcia is going to continue to do great things. Errol Spence is going to have, should he be victorious, obviously we're talking as a foregone conclusion. We're talking in the future, right? So he beats Showtime Sean Porter. He's going to have Sean Porter on his resume, right? And let's say he goes on to fight Manny Pacquiao, 8th division Filipino superstar boxer, right? And he defeats Manny Pacquiao. No, then you're going to need him more than he needs you, as far as recognition goes, in the history books. Later on, you understand? So when you look at it, Manny Pacquiao, he had the Juan Manuel Marquez fights. He had the Eric Morales fights, the Barrera fights. That's far before Floyd Mayweather came along. Floyd Mayweather was even a thought in Manny Pacquiao's eyes. Then he had the signature win against Oscar De La Hoya. Then he had the Miguel Cotto fight. Then he had the Ricky Hatton fight. Then he had the Margarito fight. You understand? Then the Shane Mosley fight. Floyd Mayweather have Saul Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez have Floyd Mayweather. Now he lost the fight, but he has Canelo Alvarez on Floyd Mayweather on his resume, and then he has Triple G on his resume. Then he has Miguel Cotto on his resume. So he has Hall of Famers on his resume. Terence Crawford doesn't have Hall of Famers on his resume. He may have one Hall of Famer on his resume, and that may be Victor Postile. And I doubt, and that's you know, pushing it. Is Victor Postile a Hall of Famer? Most likely not. Is Yuriorkis Gamboa a Hall of Famer? Most likely not. Is Jeff Horn a Hall of Famer? No. So you see, you need a Hall of Famer on your resume. Bredis Prescott? No. Amir Khan? Yeah. But that fight ended in controversy. It wasn't a real conclusion to that fight. Now, I highly expected, just like everybody else, for him to finish Amir Khan. Seemed like he was on his way to doing so. And Amir Khan pulled a fast one and pulled out the fight. But with that said, is that fight, Amir Khan is the only Hall of Famer on his resume. Kell Brook is going to go to the Hall of Fame. Mikey Garcia is going to go to the Hall of Fame. Sean Porter is going to go to the Hall of Fame. So right now, as it stands, Errol Spence will have 3 Hall of Famers on his resume. And Terence Crawford has 1. So when you look at it and you say, does he need Errol Spence? Yeah. Yeah. Now he became undisputed at 140, He has a lot of accomplishments. He's undefeated. He's widely known as the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world. But yeah, he definitely needs Errol Spence. They need each other. But he believes that Top Rank and PBC, the promoters, and their egos are preventing this fight from coming to fruition. But he highly expects this fight to come to fruition, as I do too. As so do I. But that's all I got for y'all, man. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shouts out to the entire LDBC. Shouts out to New Media. Shouts out to Black Media Raw. Make sure you like and share these videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.
Blue Blood Sport TV, baby, from the